For a second, I was like, darkness. Okay. Hello. um, and it's for it's great to have Lyr Lobo. I mean, obviously, who's one of the board members of Nonprofit Commons,
Going off mic
and
now.
a longtime collaborator of many of us, especially myself. Ever so grateful. Um, and she's going to be leading our tour today. She usually does a fantastic yearly
There we
tour.
go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I think you guys can hear me too, right? Yeah. But she'll be leading a tour of the Relay for
Let me
Life.
try again. Can you hear me now? All right, you can hear. Okay, good.
You.
I can just barely hear you, Joyce. So just to let you know.
That's okay. Maybe your volume is just down. So I will talk louder. Hello, hello. But we will be heading out on a tour, and I turn it over to you, Lyr, and you can go from there.
Well, that sounds great. Welcome, everyone. I'm so sorry I don't have a speakeasy. Yep. Today. In fact, I had to create these slides right before the session. So I do have a fun link for you. So as I'm showing some content, if you want to load this link, you're welcome to do so. And it is a link to the video for this year for the Fantasy Fair, where it gives you a visual tour of the entire fair. So it's like a walking tour from one side to the other, entering and exiting each of the Sims. And it's, of course, by the wonderful folks at the Fantasy Fair, including our beloved Sophia Wittershins, and of course another machinima maker as well. The name escapes me. If someone could put that in the chat, I'd be thankful. But that's the link to the video, and it's a beautiful video where you can follow them along as they're touring. And the reason I'm including that is for any of us who have problems seeing or navigating the fair, or feeling comfortable with so much content, because it's 22 regions of content. Now the image you see above is me holding the Fantasy Fair quest HUD, quest object, which when you add it and you click it, it gives you once again all of the quest material. But I thought this year you might want something a little different, so I've given you some funds to celebrate your birthday as well as mine, and to have fun this year with our Fantasy Fair tour. We are going to go on 2 stops, but right now there's events going on some of the locations that I'd planned, of course, right? So that's no worries. Here's what the site looks like. There's 22 regions, and you'll notice very early this morning there weren't very many people on the regions, but the first day it opened there were 41 people or more on most of these regions. So it does get very busy. And so to take a tour there, you really have to think ahead, right? How you get everyone to fit, especially when we have 30 people, right? I did pass out funds, and that's for you to celebrate your birthday and to enjoy some of the festival's goods, and to do social good. Because, of course, when you use one of these fair objects, I'm going to skip ahead to this slide. If you use any of the objects that look like this, with the vendor note at the bottom, that's a donation directly to the Relay for Life of Second Life and the American Cancer Society. And this year they have several different areas. I think there's like 11 countries that are involved in the donation beneficiaries for this year, and you can read more about that on the website. So let me skip back again for just a moment and bring up some of these links. So I have 3 links for you here, and I'll share them with you here in the text chat. The first one is to the blog, so you can see all of the events, right, at your leisure. You don't have to go and look right now, but save that link for later. And then, of course, the tour schedule. I'm going to show you an example of it in just a moment. And the last one is that video link. And if you want a copy of my slides, let me know. I am going to put them on slideshare.net/Lyr Lobo, and I'll give you the link for that later in the event here. Actually, I could go ahead and give it to you. I haven't uploaded them yet because we're talking hot off the press. For those of you who know me, know that I'm a mad professor. I'm teaching 12 classes at the moment, and my 13th class opens on Monday. for this term. Fortunately, I have a few classes ending, 5 classes ending later this month in May. So I'm busy. There's no other word for it. So that's the link to where I will be putting the slides for this in case you'd like a copy as a souvenir. Now let's take a look. This is what is LitFest, right? Well, this is a precursor also to Pionia's talk next week because she's going to take us on a tour. But essentially, every day there's 1 or 2 tours planned throughout the festival, with a couple of exceptions. And then at the end, sometimes they schedule extra tours. And the goal is not just to tour the site, but to think of the stories behind the imagery, to think of why we're there, to think of the people we've lost and the people we've loved and the people who come after us, all this connectedness. And so it's a beautiful celebration of the spirit and, of course, in a fantasy theme. So you're welcome to wear fantasy clothes and to wear the wings that Zinnia gave you and to think about the inner child, right? Our playful spirit. In any event, this is one of the events that's occurring throughout the festival, and they encourage you to write a poem, write a short story, or write something from your heart that commemorates what you saw or what you felt or what you were thinking that day. They will publish it for you if you like, and they will also broadcast it on the radio if you record it. So these are things you can do both during the festival and after the festival. So it's something to think about. Now, we've had several authors speak. They host events every day, and there's links on that website under the events link for LitFest where you can find out more information on them. That's the outfit for this year. It's very easy to wear. It's for Maitreya and Legacy avatars, but it also is for classic avatars. And I'm modeling it there on the left, and that's Stranger on the right. And this is one of the regions. You'll notice most of the entry point regions have all those signs you see behind us, and those are links to the website and also these outfits and the quest HUD. Well, here's some freebies, and there's a wonderful freebie at the LitFest main site, which is called I want to say Fungalmire. Some of the names are a little hard to pronounce, but you can become this mushroom avatar if you like, or a mushroom mermaid avatar, or merman, excuse me. And you can also pick up a quest HUD in the sense of not just the HUD, but the free teleporter HUD. And that's on the left, that purplish, pinkish egg you see there, the orb. And then on the right, you could join the group if you so desired. Now, at the LitFest site, there's also a magical broom. Let me do a little demo, see if I can find mine. It's in the objects folder. So if you haven't seen this, I'm going to hop up for a moment and demo. You could get a free broom, and it looks like this. It's at the entry area. Let me turn around. I know you're thinking it's a little cheesy, but it's kind of fun, you know. And of course, it's got a few particles and fun things. And this is one of the offerings. You just click the broom near the signs at the site for LitFest. So let me know if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about. Always let me know, and I'll be happy to. Yeah, vroom, vroom, vroom. Yeah. And how to get off of it? Well, let's see. I will hop back into my seat. That's what I'll do. Boom. Good. And I'll detach it here in a minute. But the festival's all about play and the triumph of the spirit, and the fact that many of us have suffered from cancer or had loved ones who have. And so the goal here is to do good and to have a grand time doing it, and also to feed your spirit. Now, there's many free things at the fair, but of course, everything you buy is a donation So this is the LitFest site, and what I did was I pulled my camera back, and I'm showing you an aerial view of it, right? And you can, and I'm watching the chat in case you wanted to share something with me. Um, you will notice the signage and the broom that I was talking about is in the back left, kind of like a few inches over, it's where all those signs are. That's where the broom is. And what you're looking at in the foreground on the right is the seating area for the events for LitFest. And there's also a book table. You can see two levels of the book table with all the books on it. And authors from those books, some of them have been by to speak, and others are still scheduled. So you're welcome to come to any of those events. And I gave you a landmark for it. The landmark I gave you puts you right outside the events area. So if you wanted to get the broom, you'd have to move over to the left and in the back near that mountain. Okay? There's a little quest for you. Meanwhile, this is what the book table looks like, and we're modeling them here. Right now, there's an event going on there that probably just ended, and another one that begins in about 42 minutes. So as soon as I'm done, we will head over there, get some loot, and then I have a special treat for the librarians in the house and anyone who loves books. How many people love books? Give me a yes or no in the and I know books may be out of fashion, so many people are like totally into videos, right? But there's something beautiful about the written word, and not just in ebook form, but also the way a good book feels and smells. So we're going to go take a look. And let me see if I can res a few props here, right? To um, to show you what I mean. I might have a couple of examples. Let's see. Oh, it looks like someone's been giving me gifts. I'm making out like a bandit here. Uh, let's see. Well, I'll have to res the books in a little bit. I'll have to reset my filters. Let's do that real quick. And of course, one of the challenges here is when people name things, they don't always give you a great name for it, do they? Um, for me, a book should be called a book, right? So I can easily find it somewhere in the object name. But let's see. Well, worst case scenario, we'll just go over and buy them. They're really inexpensive and they're really amazing. And I want to thank Stranger for finding them for me and for sharing that link. And I gave you a link to where they're located. So let's just move along. This is a beautiful site. And of course, I'm looking at it with my lighting, the personal lighting that I like, which has a kind of rosy glow to it, you'll notice. When you're actually there, these textures look a lot more blue and a lot more steel-like. So that's one thing I want to point out to you is when you go to the Fantasy Fair, you will want to adjust your lighting and use the shared environment to see how the creator intended the this look and feel. And I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. I know I have an image or two that shows you the difference between our normal lighting for like midday or sunset or sunrise and my personal lighting, which was one that I had adapted myself, and then, of course, the shared environment. This one here is the shared environment. You'll notice when you look at the skyline, you're seeing some tan colors and browns and some different effects. And of course, there's beautiful statuary and stories throughout the Fantasy Fair. We're only going to look at a few more slides and then we're going to take off. So for those of you who are planning your day, don't worry. Now this is an image from a tour. So if you had gone to one of the 5 o'clock tours or the 1 o'clock on some days, this is what it would look like. You'd be out with the company of the fair folk. And I'm here. Beth Ghostraven is here as well. And later we'll see a slide featuring her, as well as Zri and some others who are here among us. Well, many of you know Blue Barker Lowtide from the Virtual World's Best Practices in Education and from VISTI, right? And he's there on the right, of course, sporting his fantasy togs and looking quite dapper on the tour. Meanwhile, here we are exploring some of the sites, and of course, You're welcome to join any of the tours. They're open to the public, and of course, they're a lot of fun. There's underwater adventures for you mermaids and mermen. So, this is a quick look at one little scene from underwater at the Isles of Aquarius. When you enter there, walk down the steps into the water quite fearlessly, and you will find two different levels of underwater builds. Meanwhile, you can ride your horse. So if you have a horse or a vehicle or something, a fantasy kind of look and feel welcome to ride or to transform into your favorite avatar. This is an example of one of the builds that has a very purpley, EEP settings for the shared environment. And you get some amazing effects. When you go up the stairs, there's a volcano at the top. And of course, this is another look at it because I know you're thinking, well, that's nice, but what are we looking at? The statuary is amazing and the experience. It puts you into a different frame and makes you think about, you know, why we're here and why social good matters and the power of all of us coming together. Now, I'm watching the chat and I wanted to thank you for these wonderful comments. Yep. And thank you, Rhiannon, for typing. Here's an example of what I meant. I see the world in the upper left. That's not quite midday. I have added a little peachy to my sun, because I like something that's a precursor to a sunrise or a sunset, right? And then, of course, but that's a build by Alia Baroque from Fallen Gods, and you will notice how glorious it is. There are some hidden surprises. If you zoomed in really close to the image on the right, you'll notice that there's statues built into the rocky foundation, holding up the buildings, and he's just done an amazing job with this build. There's a lot to it. I have one more image. Let's see, we'll go to the next spot. And the reason I create so many images for you is I know not everyone sees the world in the same way, right? Our experience may be different based on our bandwidth or our graphics cards or other reasons, right? And so this is what it looks like if you're looking down on it from the backside. And of course, here's Beth Ghost Raven. I love her avatars and saw her on one of the tours and had to zoom in to check her out and her friend. And of course, someone had pointed out to me, says, "Don't step on the tinies." And I said, "I would never step on the tinies, but I might miss them accidentally." So of course, I want to thank you, Beth, for that. And then Strangers sporting one of the older dragon looks, because remember, this year's theme is the magic of dragons. So if you like dragons, you'll want to check out the quest. And of course, the money I gave you was enough to get the quest HUD with the outfits, if you wish, or to get the bargain one for $250 and get a couple of books. And we do have a book site we're going to go to. Now here's another region, and normally this looks very blue. She looks very blue when you look at her. I'm looking at her with my light, so you're seeing more of the detail. The reason I look at these builds with several different lighting effects is to get a deep appreciation of the work that went into the build and to understand what the designer intended from their perspective, and then from my perspective, what that story tells to me. Now, this is about dreams, and of course, I made the comment this might be considered a nightmare, right? So, yeah. So, what we'd have to be careful with that, right? And then I'm reaching the end of my slides. I only have a few more left, and I wanted to wish you a wonderful time at the Fantasy Fair, and say thanks to Blue Barker and to Beth for being my models, and to Stranger. And of course, that's the end of our video. And the video goes on for 19 minutes, so you might still be watching it, or you can watch it later. So now, are there questions for me before we begin our tour? Now you notice I teach in World, so my tours are like a forced march, but we're going to be a little gentler because two things will occur. We may not have voice, right? So we have to be within text near each other. So we had to get a sense of what our plan is before we go. That's one of the things. The second is I've selected two sites not because they're the most powerful at the fair, but because we enjoyed them. That's why. I think it's as simple as that. So let me show you. I will show you a couple of the items, or we could just go over and play with them. But I wanted you to have a great time, and I know there's 30 of us. So I wanted you to not feel disconnected or uncomfortable at any of our events today, okay? So let's see. Let me see if I can show you that thing. If not, we'll just go on over and we'll start there. Let's go ahead, and what we're going to do is look in your landmarks folder. And here's going to be our plan. We're first going to go to the site that says Fantasy Fair Lit Fest. And I'll put this in the chat. I will bring up on the map, and I will put the slurl in the chat so you don't have to find the landmark if you don't want to, okay? So here's the copy slurl. I'm also going to give you something real quick. Let me give you the teleport HUD. You can get a copy there, so don't worry if you take off early and you don't get it. But if you'd like a copy from me, oops, it won't let me share. Oh, that's right. I must be wearing it. Hang on. Here we go. So I will share the teleport HUD, and when you wear this, it always lands in the middle of your display. All you have to do is edit it and move it to one side. You can also expand it and contract it. And if you already have one, no worries. I know several of you do, Zri. Zri is so wonderful. She's always Zri is always volunteering every year and doing some amazing work at the festival.
I would say
Let's
too that
see.
there's the
Okay, you have the HUD.
nonprofit. There's the
What's that, Joy?
nonprofit. There's the nonprofit Commons community group. Hopefully, folks can hear me. And that's another place that we can kind of collectively keep as a back channel in case folks get lost.
That's right. So in your groups, if you see something come in from the nonprofit commons, that's how we'll get organized. We're only going to go to 2 destinations today. There'll be more destinations next week. And you're welcome to free roam as well. Our 2 destinations, the first one, we're going to land and move over to the signs and where all the free stuff is, right? Away from the event and the seating area. And then once we gather our stuff there in the open circle with all the posters around our bodies, then we're going to go over to the book sites, okay? And the book site is not on the same region. It's on your second landmark. And I'll make a note of that in the local chat when we get there. So go ahead and stand, and we will start heading on over. See you at the festival.
Okay, I'm going to turn the mic on again. So that was the presentation on Fantasy Fair 2023 by Lyr Lobo, Cynthia Cologne, and we're going to go to the first of 2 places that she has picked for us to tour in person. This is called Fungelmeyer, and the minute she starts talking again, I'm going to go off mic. Now, we did what she suggested, and we are using the shared environment. So the builders of this place recommended or decided to use this dark light. Now, we're not sure that communicates well, so we might just put it right back to midday. Yeah, we kind of like that better because our eyes just see it better that way. can go there yourself. Now you see this looks just like the picture that Lyr showed us on our slideshow, but this is way different because we are immersed in it with our free camera, looking around. There's the bookshelf she's talked about, etc., etc. So we're going to go off mic again. Okay, well, while we're waiting for somebody to say something, this is very typical. You throw 30 people into a new location, they have to gather. They use text a lot. In the meantime, what is this for? Oh, hmm. Hmm. Okay, no voice here. And now we're trying to coordinate. There's no, so now we're going to go back to there. But Lyr's not here anymore. So much for that. So already we're split up, you see. Now, not so. Mm, How did that manage to go there? That went in the right place. Well, we're split up. Oh, well. Oh, no, no, over here. Never. Oh, there you are. Uh-huh. So then we looked, is Lyr here? Is Lyr here? Hmm. Are we moving again? This is where these tours fall apart. But that's not the first time. So we're keeping our mic on blathering because, never mind trying to keep up with the tour group. The point is there's this really cool 3D area that you can go to called Fantasy Fair 2023, which has 22 separate freaking regions, of which this is one. And the reason we wanted to stream this tour is because Lyr does a really nice job of pre-selecting a lot of places to look at. And right now we're just trying to see where our tour guide went. So I guess people are having fun playing here, which is fine. For values of fine. Lyr is in the north of us. Well, yes. Well, what does that mean? Well, we're not going to try to fix anything. We're just going to... Oh. Okay, so now we're going to teleport again. Maybe we'll find our guide here. Yay. There's our guide. Yay. And there's no voice. See, down here, there's no speak a button. So voice is disabled here. Up here you see this icon that... Oh, we don't have our cursor on. We could turn our cursor on. We will let that happen. That showing? Yeah, okay. Up here you see voice is disabled. Oh God, somebody just fired off a big effect. Love for books. Anyway, it's crowded as all heck in here. Now, but we can turn off the UI, and then we can look around and blah, 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 blah. So, okay, we'll have to give the tour, so to speak, ourselves. Looking around. There's where you can buy stuff, and it contributes to the American Cancer Society. And I guess these are different kind of books. You can actually use the edit property to see if it says anything. So now we're going to, I mean, the Fantasy Fair is cool, but we're also going to talk about the Metaverse app that it runs on. And people, these are all built. These are not built by devs. They're built by what they call residents or users. These are user built, and they have all kinds of different levels of expertise. What's all this stuff? Bento hand pose. Oh, geez. People get very excited about if you can have pointy ears, if you can bend your fingers, which is in 20 years they've come a long way, baby. So anyway, people are blathering away here. Find the things you love and help to fight cancer. And see, you also have these private IMs, so you can if the name is in green, it means that you friended them, so you can track each other when you're not right next to each other. And that object that we were just given, where is it? Also, you get see this HUD thing. If you wear this, if you add it, oh, it's over here. Then you can, click on these things and teleport. These are those 22 locations. We're not going to do that because we'll get lost. So there's a lot of mechanisms to move around in this thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of regions, all kinds of customizable avatars, customizable hair. This group is primarily educators and nonprofits. That's why it's called the Nonprofit Commons. They're typing away, and we like to show who's talking by what's called bubble chat. But some people like to turn off the user interface and experience an immersive 3D. So there's somebody with pointy ears. That's a custom avatar. That's a custom avatar. That's custom hair. That's a custom costume. Customized wings. You can also wear wings that are controlled like a second pair of arms. It's funny, we're using there's teeny weeny little wing. You can fly with or without wings. You can have mascots and pets. You can have pets that'll follow you around that are animated. Scripting, use scripting. Here's another custom costume. You can use fantasy themes from real world literature. You can be any size you want. So we're kind of doing people watching right now. Now, who's this? If you want to know who you're looking at, this is, that's Rhiannon, who's our Nonprofit Commons host. And she has a animation override that makes her avatar move around like that in a standing position. That's Wisdom Seeker. She's been in some of our other produced videos. That's Buffy. She was our host for the conference that we presented at, that we streamed much of the preparation for. This is not a live avatar, I don't think. Is it? Why are they not wearing a title? I don't know. Why is there no name? There is a name. This is our avatar, anime, Japanese. All right, enough of this. Where are we at? Okay, there's 13 more. Okay, this is another. Okay, we talked about rigging. So this avatar, Zri, likes to be a composite creature with, instead of arms and legs, there's 4 legs, and I'm not sure if your wings are armatured. Since they're a friend, we could ask them, are your wings armatured? Let's see if they know what that question meant. And there's a bunch of other events going on here. So anyway, we got that. Okay, so we don't need to know that anymore. Oh. I'm assuming can you flap them by command? Let's see if you can flap them on command. He, she, it, whatever. They. Looking now. Curious. Anyway, bento, which is like a bento box for Japanese food, is in Second Life means, oh wow, there you go. So see, they actually have 6. Nice, nice. Thank you. Go. Some of these butterfly wings people are wearing they're just sort of attached, and they kind of, it's kind of like wearing a costume, wings. You know, if you jiggle your shoulders, it'll make the attached wings. But these actually have bones in the wings. I suppose the tail does too. I don't know. We don't know a lot about it because our avatar is like this. So our avatar has arms and legs, and of course the body and head and neck. You know, it looks like a traditional, very simplified human skeleton. But people got so into the wings and extra arms and legs that oh, now he's showing off. Now you're just showing off. Okay, now you're just bragging. So that was cool. All right, so are we going somewhere else now? Okay, we're heading to OK. So we'll say OK. So now we're going to another place, Fairylands Junction. Who knows what that is? Let's find out. And again, the reason we're talking is because there's no voice in these regions, and but there are sound effects. Oh my God. But that's partly because they're going to have tons of people visiting, and you don't want them talking over each other. This looks like one of those light effects that they were talking about. If we were to use the shared environment, this is how they want it to look. This is how the designer wants it to look. So I could say, fine. And I would say, you know, excuse me, but yucky poo. So I would just go back to pretending that it is midday. And it's still kind of bluish. Well, there's a sound effect. Find the broom. Well, I'd like a broom, but I don't know where that is. Well, if we could follow her. I don't know what those sounds are. So let's look for a broom. Oh, there it is. There, we got a broom. Woohoo! And then if we look here under recent, okay, that's right. So all of this stuff, we want to push it into the Fantasy Fair 2023 folder, because otherwise we're going to be trying to find it in our inventory, which looks like that. So this is a trick. When you're logged in finding new stuff, make a folder right away, and then recent will show anything that's been added to your goodies since while you're logged in on this session. Okay, we forgot to hit enter on that. And this one. Ellie is also a big-time player in Second Life education stuff. Now, we don't know whose sound effect that is, but we could find it if we looked for stereoscopic effects. Let's turn off the UI again. So anyway, for some reason they wanted us to look at this. This looks like it's a hub. It looks like you can click on these things and go places. So, okay. It's kind of a teleport hub. Literally. Oh my God, there's a snake here. Why is there a snake here? Oh. Uh-oh. I hope they're not Ouroboros, center of the world. But we find it more interesting talking. It just feels that way to us. But you can't do that with a large group. Now, who is this? That's Mooney. So you can see you can have a tiny avatar. This is Beth, who they mentioned had the bunny avatar with all kind of effects and whatnot. I mean, this is creating your custom. Oh, geez, shut up. Custom look. Oh, this is a person. This is a person doing this, right? Yes, that is it. That's not a sound. That's a real live person running that dragony thing. All right, let's take a landmark here. And sure enough, it's called the junction. And we're going to pop that down here. All right, now we've lost track of what they're talking about. Okay. It is possible. If you don't want to see all the bubble chat, you can turn that off here. Like, you can also turn off seeing the names. Like that. So you don't have to turn off the UI all the time. But you, wait a minute. I thought I turned it off here. Off. Oh, I forgot to apply. And you have to say okay. Then it'll look like that, see? So then you're not having to turn the user interface off, but you can still use chat and look down here. It just depends on what your use case is. So that's kind of cool. There's a bunch of how many people are there in this area. How many people are here? It'll tell us in a minute. Oh my God. Where are we at? Okay, this is the entire Fantasy Fair, but we are sitting over here in the corner. So in this corner of the region, there are 42 people. But this is the entire Fantasy Fair here, so whatever, 40, let's say there was 40 times 20, so that'd be 800 people. 800 people at the moment, you know, at 10 o'clock a.m. California time. And this is open 24/7 for, I don't know, another week. Did I ask? Say, how long is the fair open again? We asked. Oh, God. I don't want to go on all those. Anyway, you can see they're quite busy. Did anybody answer the question? I probably got lost. Before we're wrapping it up. There we go. Now this is not a name tag. This is a wearable hover text tag that can only be turned off by turning off the user interface. So that's another interesting thing. You can also turn off sound effects if you want. But that's kind of cool. I mean, now, if you came here on your own, you would not find 30 people of a common overlapping areas of interest and practice. We came at a scheduled time when we knew this tour was going to be given. You know, even though we've turned midday on, you can tell something is happening. All right, so we are going to stop the stream here. It's officially 10 a.m. Second Life time, and thank you for those that hung out during this stream. And this stream is ended.